Thank you for joining us for Prep Extra Live, the post-game show. I'm Aram Talegian, joined by Freddie, who's getting settled in here on my right, and on my left, Steve Ramirez. Pretty interesting night tonight. Freddie's making last-second adjustments to the set here.
Here we go.
The set of Prep Extra Live.
There we go.
Our ever-changing set.
SoCalPrepLegends.com.
Yeah,
that's the set.
SoCalPrepLegends.com. Visit that site, do your voting, do everything that we need you to do.
I'm not eating on the show anymore because my dad gave me a hard time. He watches the show next morning. He gave me a hard time when I was eating that
cupcake.
That cupcake last on the show. Yeah.
You
got on me for
you know what else?
Professional.
You don't eat a cupcake next to a fat guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or let alone two fat guys.
Two fat guys,
I mean,
especially one who's
what
slow
do you
off
think
that.
you're doing?
I didn't call anybody fat.
Whatever, man. It is what it is.
Well, you got PHAT.
It is what it is. Okay, very dramatic night.
Crazy games tonight. Some wild finishes.
This
is what high school football is all about.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly.
Start of league games are heating up. I mean, we had some great games going into the night. The Bonita, Claremont, two undefeated teams. What would Charter Oak do with undefeated Chino? Diamond Ranch, we were asking that question. Are they real? They were going against West Covina, who played the great schedule. We got some answers tonight. And of course, there's Bishop Amat going against Sarah. Two 5-1 teams, two top 5 ranked teams in SoCal on a lot of publications. You were there. I watched a little bit of that game online. When I had a chance. Incredible night, Aaron. It's an incredible night.
Yeah, it really was. Some of these games really had a lot of twists and turns and got crazy right down to the end. And then, some of them, there were also a lot of lopsided scores tonight as well. I guess we can get right into it and talk about this Bishop Amat game tonight.
41-38.
Against Sarah. Yeah, 41-38. Khalil Tate, the much hyped, much ballyhooed Arizona-bound quarterback from Sarah, really lived up to the hype. And tonight, this was a game that you said would be close.
Yeah, I thought it would.
I thought it was going to be a blowout.
And when we did that drill, and I said it would be close, I still thought it would be close. I also didn't realize, I forgot that Tate wasn't in that game against Corona Centennial when they got
he was suspended, right?
He'd missed that game. So, but and I watched some of that. That last touchdown run that he had, where he escaped all of those guys. I mean, that's going to be we have SCPL. That could be one of the nominations for Play of the Year. I mean, he was absolutely wrapped up. I thought they had 4 guys on him. This guy escapes and runs down for a touchdown. I know we have some little video.
He did it all night, Fred.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
But
real quick, I'll tell you what set that play up, Aram. Amat had that game really won. It was a third down. They had him pinned around the 30-yard line.
The personal
foul. There was that personal foul off on the sidelines when they would have had 4th and long.
Right.
That gave him a first down at the 50. Next play, he goes for that touchdown. That was, to me, the play of the game.
I was at this game, and I could tell you this was one of the most horrifically officiated games that I've ever seen. I mean, these refs were totally outmatched by the players on the field. It was not a well-refereed game from either side. So it didn't surprise me to see a flag come out at that time. I saw the play, but from where I was standing, I didn't have the perspective to know if he was out of bounds yet.
And it was weird because I was watching that play, on the live stream.
Yeah.
And it looked like the Amat guy grabbed him, and he was trying to hold him up running out of bounds.
Right.
And he ran a little too far out of bounds.
Right.
But I didn't see anything where he's throwing him down. I mean, it was kind of a weird play where it looked worse than it was, I think.
Right.
But it's a big penalty.
Right. It was a big penalty, and then, I don't know, maybe it was a play later or moments later, the kid, did what he did all night. Tate breaks tackles and keeps plays alive, and then, eventually scores a touchdown. Amat has the ball back, and Amat has moved the ball the whole night on Sarah, but that drive ends, and Torrey Sweet fumbles the ball.
Yeah.
I believe it was Torrey Sweet that fumbled the ball, right?
Yeah, but he didn't do anything to really... 4 touchdowns tonight on top of that.
I thought, if there was some second guessing of Amat in this game, it would be the following: that I thought they threw the ball too much. I thought if they'd have just come out and pounded Sweet behind Dolan and Brayton, they might have kept Sarah off the field a bit more, and they might have slowed the tempo of the game down more, and they might have just worn them out. And it's hard to say because when you're down 2 scores, maybe you do think you need to throw the ball. But I just thought I would have liked to have seen Amat be more run happy, at least to start the game. But boy, Freddie, we found out tonight. I know I guess a lot of people are giving you heat, right now. I don't understand that really because. Why are people giving you heat?
All I'm trying to because they lost, and I'm pointing out.
But what does that have to do with you?
And because I made a comment that it could get interesting now. They've had this great run and this feel good to this point, and now you get the middle of the season and you lose a game. And I said, imagine if something happened and unfolded now, and they missed the playoffs because. What happens in the Mission is this thing starts to get crowded. And when you look at Bishop Amat to this point, these are the 2 best teams. I think at the end of the day, these are probably going to be the 2 best teams. But you don't know, and those questions for Amat are, their 2 step-up games of the year, they lost.
That's a great point.
Mater Dei and Sarah. When you look at the 4 games they won, they beat what are looking now like pretty bad teams.
Right.
Crespi, Notre Dame.
That's a good point.
The other 2 non-league games. They ran over these teams. They won easy.
Yeah.
But against we're looking at Amat as a team that we think at the beginning of the year they could be a Pac-5 power. They can win a championship. And they've lost their 2 big step-up games. You wonder where they're at. I mean, earlier in the week we were talking about, do we compare them to Centennial? Do we compare them to St. John Bosco?
Are they in that class?
Mater Dei, that
Centennial and Bosco.
And if that's still, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure if they're in that class.
Well,
I think they can play with those teams.
Yes.
Obviously they can.
Yes.
Maybe we're going to find out that that Sarah and Tate is a real deal, just like these other teams.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think Amat's going to have to prove that next week against Alamany. I think this is the game that you're.
They
really
have to win that game.
It's good.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. That was my point.
Yeah.
That if they lose that game to Alamany.
But why would anyone be mad at you for saying that? It's just sensitive about what?
I don't know.
No one's been kinder to this program than this guy right here.
People don't like those kind of things pointed out. Maybe maybe it was too early for him and the loss was too hard. Hey, I watched the Dodgers lose tonight. That's hard. Okay, I watched them not score any runs for Kershaw, so I know what pain feels like tonight. We're going to get over it, and tomorrow's a new day.
I was on the field tonight. I saw it, Freddie. These were these were legitimately 2 Pac-5 heavyweights. That's these are not bad, or just good teams. These are cream of the crop teams. And same thing when Amat played Mater Dei. If this or that goes a different way, they could have won that game. And if this or that goes a different way tonight, they could have won this game. They're perfectly fine so long as they don't have a slip up against a team that they shouldn't slip up against, which Amat has shown they take care of business when they're the favorite or when they're really expected to. I really thought they were expected to tonight, but whatever. Yeah. But if they take care of business the rest of the way and go into the playoffs 8-2, even if they're the second place team out of this league and Sarah goes on to win it,
but it makes it difficult. You go in 8-2.
They're good enough still to throw a wrench into things and.
But think of what you just said. If you do go in 8-2 and you go in as a second place game, that means that second round is probably going to get against a seeded team. That's going to be a Mater Dei, a Corona Centennial, and those.
No, I don't know about that. I don't know if it'll be a seed. It could be, but
there's a pretty good chance you're going to get it. That's usually
you're going to get a tough game. Right? That's for sure.
Yeah. Usually,
you probably just get another second place team
to get to the semifinals. You usually have to go through a top 4 seed.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. And that's the position they'll put themselves. Yeah. Up until this point, I thought if they'd run the table in the Mission, if they'd won this game tonight and follow through like you expected, they would have been a top 4 seed, and then you avoid those other teams until you get the semifinals.
And
this is where it can make things difficult.
You make a very good point, and this is why that's a good point. If you're a second place team and you draw another second place team, there's a chance you draw a third place team. But if you're a second place team, what if you draw the second place team out of the Trinity League, and that's like a Mater Dei or a St. John Bosco?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a scary thought. So, I mean, Amat, if things, if form holds and Amat goes in as a second place team, they're going to have a difficult first round game, but nothing they can't handle.
This is, for people who don't understand, these are some of the tweets right now, my recent timeline tweets. All week it's negative about Coach Haggerty and then the staff, and after the loss it's imagine if Amat stumbles. What's your goal here? Oh, I know, it's getting responses on Twitter and viewers to your show, okay? Fred loves Amat until we lose. Then he goes back home acting like he ain't with us. Okay. And finally, absolutely we lost. My point is, they are kids, not professional athletes. It's high school. Are we sensitive or what? I mean, are we sensitive or what?
You know the guy T-Bone on Twitter. T-Bone calls you Amat fans, like the biggest diva fan base in SoCal, and he's got a point. But again, I don't understand. The guy you're supposed to be giving the crap to, the heat to, is me, not Fred. I don't understand. Like why are they? And
you guys say that, but I've always felt like even with this, hey, I want to see Amat do good in the San Gabriel Valley. Everyone knows that. I mean, I think everyone here would love to have a team here play for a Pac-5 championship. But look, in situations like this, you've got to paint the picture of what it is, where they're at, what they're up against.
But why is that insulting? I don't understand it. Like, if you go on tonight and we talk about West Covina and you say, hey, West Covina's got to take care of business now. They can't afford another loss in league. Do you think the West Covina fan base is going to be like, Fred, you hate us. Why would you tell it? Like, why would you say what we have to do?
I got friend Beto Duran asking me, what's going on with these guys. And I even got our old Tribune editor Jim Barrero sending me texts. He was glad I'm not a sports writer today. This is way different than it was 20 years ago.
I tell you what.
That's a Bishop Amat alumni.
I tell you what.
Bishop Amat alumni.
I tell you what. It's hard enough just to stand on their sideline, as I found out tonight. I mean, so I don't know why Freddie's taking all this heat.
Setting this up real quick before we move on. So Sarah is 3-0. Amat's 2-1. Loyola's 2-1. Loyola's that game at the end of the year. That's why I say if they lost to Alamany next week, that game against Loyola at the end of the year at Loyola, who crushed Crespi tonight, would be for a playoff spot most likely. Because if you finish fourth in this league, you're not getting the at-large. So what I'm trying to do is paint the picture, Amat. Next week is a must-win. Like Steve said, those final two games are on the road. And
that's not insulting.
No. And look, you're two games against really good teams. You played well. Mater Dei, Sarah, you came in the shorter than a stick both times. But I think this is that game next week where it's not Sarah and it's not Mater Dei, but it's also not Crespi and it's not Notre Dame or those other two lightweights that you beat in the long league schedule. This is that game against Alamany where there's somewhere in between, and we've got to find out where Amat is in that, with that group.
Okay.
That's
and we will. Anyways, let's piss off the St. Francis fan base now because they lost tonight to Salesian. 20. Now you called that, right?
Yeah, I called.
I don't understand. I thought in our pick contest when I saw you made that pick, I'm like, thank you for the freebie, Fred. I'll take St. Francis. Go ahead. So, anyways, St. Francis. I guess Keith Lair. He kind of.
I like Jim Bonds. I like Jim Bonds. He's
a great coach.
Guy.
And he's a great guy. Yeah. St. Francis, I think Keith Lair was saying was down, or what led 20-13, and Salesian scores the last two touchdowns to win the game 27-20.
It's crazy because a lot of these games, these teams that lost at the very end, I'm watching them and I'm just expecting them to win. And at the end of the night, these last 3-4 minutes.
Well, this is high school football.
Games,
and so now, I mean, like Fred can say what he said about Amat, about St. Francis. Yeah, you guys. Next week I think they play Cathedral. Am I wrong?
No, I think that's in 2 weeks.
Okay, all right. Well, regardless, they got to get through Cathedral later on in league, and when you lose to Salesian, now Salesian's on the inside track. Cathedral's on the inside track, and St. Francis is going to need to start they're going to need to have to knock off Cathedral, or St. Francis is looking at 2 losses in league, which who knows where that puts them as far as the Southeast Division playoffs go, and
this is
where
are they going?
Good
league at the top.
St.
Francis. I mean,
and Cathedral.
I think Cathedral. These teams, they get in the playoffs in the Southeast. Any one of them can do damage.
Right,
they can.
Of course, they will have. I believe they will have to get through La Mirada. You never want to fall in love too much with La Mirada because they can break your heart. But if La Mirada can survive, the first round and move on. I think La Mirada is talented enough to bang with those teams, and we should mention Coach Mike Machete welcomed his son, I believe, or his wife. We don't know for certain that his wife Angela had the baby yet, but she went into labor tonight, and Coach Machete was forced to miss the game. They kicked butt. They took care of business, and hopefully his son, I believe his name is going to be Cash Machete. Cash, I swear to God.
That.
Yeah, Cash. Hopefully he was born tonight. Hopefully I get a text from somebody.
Machete.
Yeah, confirming this. But congratulations to you, Coach. If either congratulations if it's already happened, or congratulations for what's coming here tonight. But La Mirada easy tonight.
Like to speak La Mirada quarterback 14.
Right. Now let's talk about the team that may go to number 1 in the all-encompassing rankings, and that's La Habra. I gotta think about this over the weekend. I just probably took a lot of heat off of you, Fred.
Someone asked me, is Charter Oak going to number 1 this week?
Are they?
Come on. I joked with them like, oh yeah, maybe. No.
Stevie was out at the game tonight. Sonora enters tonight's game against La Habra at 5-0. La Habra, the dominant team, bidding for their 9th Freeway League title. You want to create as media these storylines going in. I don't know. La Habra's facing this team that's 5-0, and what happens? La Habra just cracks them. Same old.
It was a pretty dominating performance. C.J. Taylor rushed for 150 yards and 4 touchdowns. They only had the ball 3 times in the first half. They scored on each possession, led 21-0 at half. Jacob, I want to get his name pronounced right, Fimbres from Sonora.
Oh, right. That was a big running back.
Yeah, he's a big running back. They really shut him down in the first half, and then he had some big runs in the third quarter, and he scored their only touchdown. But this game was not close at all.
What was it finally, 35-7?
Yeah, it was 35-7. What happened is La Habra scored on their first possession, and then Sonora had this big long drive to the 30, and then they threw an interception. That took up most of the first quarter and part of the second, and then La Habra drove for a touchdown to go 14-0 and then led 21-0.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Stevie, but I've had enough of the play-by-play. Let's cut to the white meat right now. I'm going to ask you: is that a wrap in the Freeway League? Is this thing over? Are they home now?
No, they have
Are they 9-1 going into the playoffs?
Or the better question for your all-encompassing ranking: Stevie's in back-to-back weeks has seen Bishop Amat and La Habra. Stevie, who's on top?
I think.
He's thinking about it.
No, I think. From a physical standpoint, La Habra can match up with them, but they can't match up on the outside with their athletes.
All right,
and La Habra has some very good.
It would be a great game.
Yeah, La Habra has some very good athletes, but they got
a lot of guys going next level, man.
Yeah, gives them something to think about.
Yeah, it does.
But they host Buena Park. Next week, and Buena Park finished second. They have everyone back. They've had a really good season up to this point. I think La Habra will win that game and probably will. I don't think they'll win it as easily as this game, but
you can go my blog.
I think they'll win it comfortably.
I agree. Yeah. I'm calling it, Stevie. Yeah. I say it's a wrap. I say La Habra 9-1. Them and San Clemente are on that crash course in the what is it, Southwest Division?
Southwest Division.
Yeah, boy, you got to get ready for that, Fred.
I'm
telling you.
That's an Angel Stadium game.
An Angel Stadium game.
A 2 o'clock game.
I like those 2 o'clock games.
Yeah, it's an environment guy. It's Tom Simmons getting you on the field and off the field.
Yeah.
Boom, get out of here. You got to go. We got to start the next game. It's great stuff. I'm telling you, La Habra's the team that I'm banking on of all the teams that we cover being in a final.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last, or at least last year, they just didn't have the defense.
Right.
Where you had confidence.
They didn't. No, they were horrible.
Yeah, where you had confidence that they could go through the playoffs. But the way they're playing defense and the way they can run the ball and throw the ball, I can't see them not getting to the final. Yeah,
fantastic team. Coach Frank Mazzotta doing it again. Freddie, let's get into the Hacienda League now tonight. Charter Oak, they were playing, much like the La Habra situation, a Chino team that entered the game 5-0. Of course, they only beat Roland last week 28-25, so you started to think maybe they were in trouble.
I think an overtime victory against Don Lugo. I sort of had this coming, and I think even I predicted a blowout earlier in the day. I kind of felt that was coming.
CO 42-14, by the way.
Yeah, in that game. The big game was the someone's must go game tonight. That was Claremont at Bonita, 2 5-0 teams. And the way that ended, I was looking at Michelle Gardner's game story right here before we came in, and Aaron was laughing.
Well, I'm reading a tweet about you.
What does this one now say?
This one says, eat a Snickers, Fred. You're not yourself when you're hungry. I don't understand it.
It's man, it's crazy. Bonita Claremont game, 7 lead changes. Claremont wins it in the final 58 seconds. I guess they do it on a double reverse touchdown pass to the end zone.
Right.
Kind of a trick play.
We were gonna get to that. Hold on, we were gonna do the Hacienda League here.
Oh, go ahead.
Which the next big game, tonight, the one that got really crazy.
Diamond Bar, Ayala?
No, Diamond Ranch.
Or Diamond Ranch.
Hacienda League. Yeah, Diamond Ranch, West Covina. I mean, this Diamond Ranch team, they had allowed, I think only the most they had allowed this year was 13 points to someone. The first 5 games they entered tonight 4-1. West Covina blitzes them for 43 points. Doesn't matter. Diamond Ranch scores 50, wins the game 50-43. I thought that following John Honell's text message, like the scores tonight, I thought West Covina was in control of this game.
West Covina was up 43-28 in the fourth quarter. And I was talking to someone who was at the game, and what happened is Diamond Ranch, after they made it 43-28, they had a 3-touchdown lead. So they score to make it 43-28. They do an onside kick and they score. They kick off again, and then West Covina throws an interception. Diamond Ranch wins it right in the end, 50-43.
But you see,
really dramatic.
when you're West Covina, here's the thing. I mean, they
play throwing the football for late.
Well, that's a good question too. But they played Colony, they played Tesoro this offseason. Those games are supposed to get you into a spot where you can finish a team like Diamond Ranch tonight when you're at home and you have the game somewhat in the bag, 43-28.
Well, and you say a team like Diamond Ranch, look, I think we got to start giving Diamond Ranch a little bit more credit, or at least I do.
Yeah.
I looked at that first game of the year where they lost to South Hills 7-0.
Right.
And looking at what South Hills is doing now, it was hard for me to believe in what Diamond Ranch had done since. But I think a game like tonight, you've got to take them seriously. I mean, they're a real contender now in the league.
Maybe that's the
West
team.
Because I thought at the end of the day, West Covina was going to be the team battling Charter Oak for the league title. And Diamond Ranch just...
Well, don't forget about Los Altos. They win tonight 49-9 over Walnut. So maybe they get a little bit of confidence back. Now, we can go over to the Palomares League. Freddie told you what happened. Claremont with a dramatic win over Bonita. So maybe...
And that game went back and forth all night if you're watching the tweets. And like I said, the final score in that one was...
33-29, Claremont wins.
Trick play, final minute, and then Bonita threw a pick trying to win the game.
So you're now kind of looking at Claremont and Glendora as the teams that have the inside track in that league. And
for Bonita, how quick can a tide turn? Because this team is they get Glendora next week. They're potentially now after starting 5-0, you go 0-2, and then you're in a situation where you've got to win out to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but yet you could say Bonita, that means Bonita has them right where they want them, because last year they entered as an at-large and they go to the semifinals. Yeah. They went further than anybody.
Yeah, but you can't bank on that.
But what we're seeing, though, Freddie, is there's a lot of parity in that league. Yeah. That league's going to be dramatic, I really think, all the way into Week 10. Ayala beat Diamond Bar in the other Palomares League game tonight.
Diamond Bar was winning that game most of the night.
Bad loss for Diamond Bar.
I
mean, because this was a doable team.
Yeah, because when you look in that league, Ayala has really struggled in the non-league, and that's going to make it hard for Diamond Bar, I think, now to make the playoffs. When you look at
they still got Glendora, they still got Bonita, they still got Claremont.
They had to win.
Right. That's a bad loss for D-Bar, to say the least. Okay, now switching gears back to the sort of Pasadena area tonight. Arcadia and Muir meet in a game
that score, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it set the sport back 100 years. 8-7 Monroe. 8-7 Arcadia.
I would say 100 years, but that's the type of score you saw in like the 50s or 60s.
Hey man, maybe that's the kind of score we're going to see tomorrow when Michigan plays Northwestern.
I'm up for it.
I'm up for it too. That's Big Ten football, baby.
I love that Iowa-Wisconsin game last week.
Oh, I loved it too. Yeah. I had a great bet on Iowa. Not only that, but I love that. I'm telling you, I love that Big Ten. You know what they say about Big Ten football, everybody? Big Ten football, first to 10 wins. So there you go. But no, tonight.
Someone's telling me.
Okay, Freddie's taking more heat on Twitter.
Give him don't make an enemy out of me, Amat.
Yeah, right.
Someone wants me to go Stephen A on him.
Yeah, that's fitting.
It's just funny.
As long as you don't get like that story that you tweeted out today.
Yeah. It's ironic that this comes in a day where I tweet out a story about a high school reporter who was assaulted.
I tweeted it too.
Yeah, you tweeted out that was assaulted on a field by a coach who threatened to take him.
He just tweeted there was a bad snap on a punt, and that the snapper or the punter turned out to be one of the assistant coach's sons.
Yeah.
And the mom first of the kid got mad, and then naturally, the husband had to act mad too, and goes up to the reporter and tells him, like, I will end you. And the guy's like, what the hell did I do, And he's like, I didn't even mention anyone's name.
It looks like it's a good thing I wasn't on the field tonight then, right?
Where? Over at Amat?
I'm making these tweets.
Oh, at Sarah?
I might have got out of the parking lot looking at some of these tweets.
Yeah, I was on the field. I was on the Amat sideline.
Relax, everybody. This is high school football.
Yeah, anyways.
We're not abusing kids with tweets.
Who's even talking about that?
And we're giving commentary.
No, but I will say this: we are a little more. How can I put this? Edgy than most high school football coverage, and I think that's also why we're more successful than most high school football coverage.
The sport of high school football, just like pro football, has evolved. Back in the day,
and people want it covered that, and except when things go bad, and then everyone's like, don't mention, whatever, and that's fine. And for the most part, we don't mention the name. We just say someone fumbled at the end, or someone was intercepted, or it just depends. But
but that was one of the tweets I made about social media today in response to that coach thing. Is that people were asking how you deal with that, and I said, well, you got a lot of the young, sensitive coaches and parents, with social media, and you've got a lot of the old school coaches who can't stand its existence.
Oh, yeah, right.
There's that balance that we have to deal with.
I know who you're talking about.
And look, social media, it's
here to stay, Freddie.
It's not going away. I mean, we've got to be more forward thinkers than thinking backwards.
Right.
And a lot of it is opinion. You look at sports today, it's opinion.
Yes.
Aaron pointed out a show earlier in the week with Stephen A. Smith and who's the guy that first take they go at it. No, on first take.
Right. The way they go at it on first take. Skip Bayless.
We were kind of having fun with each other, debating something this week, and people were like, "Calm down."
Our Amat Pac-5 debate, brought back out from
and it's like we're not taking this stuff personal. We're just, it's like anything else. We're sports writers arguing and debating and having a take on something, which is what people like to read, even though they give us a hard time about it.
Not only do they like to read, but Joe Amat gets in there and engages, and Aaron Castro gets in there and engages, and T-Bone, or whoever it might be. These people get in there and engage themselves, and I understand everyone's got an opinion. You may not agree with mine. I don't think I'm the biggest expert in the world, or I know Fred doesn't, and everyone's got an opinion about these things. That's a beautiful thing. It doesn't bother me if someone says, you're an idiot, so-and-so, I knew they were going to win the game. Okay, great. That's the fun of it, is that, there's debate and there's, a lot of discussion about it. That's the fun of it.
And we know there are lines you don't cross, and I don't think that we've crossed those lines.
No. Now we're getting defensive for no reason. But anyways, what we were talking about was Arcadia's 8-7 win over Muir. Arcadia.
It's bother my dad, Mr. Mighty Mighty Mustang Muir.
Fred.
They're
Fred. Is that Fred Senior?
That's Fred Senior. Okay, he's not going to like that result.
No, he's not. And Muir, all that goodwill that they had conjured after the win over Burbank last week. Now they're 1-2 in league, and they're in a bit of a spot. And Arcadia, though, Freddie, I've been kind of warning you about this team, and Stevie, you too. 4-2 now, 3-0 in league. They're on their way to a playoff spot. They might even challenge Burroughs for the league title. If not, maybe finish second. Of course, they'll have to get by Burroughs and Burbank still, but Arcadia is really...
How good is this for Arcadia?
Great.
Because they were starting to fall the way of the Temple Cities.
Yes.
And some of those teams in that area of Pasadena.
Yeah. Right.
I think it was just, 4 years ago when I saw Rio Hondo Prep just take them apart.
Right. The season opener.
I mean, they just...
Good to see them start to bounce back
that is,
Arcadia again. Because I covered them during those years when they had DiMolante and early. They were competitive, and they
saw Coach DiMolante last week. He says,
love that guy.
Hey, what's going on? I see him, on the sideline of the Pasadena guy. He said nothing, and he introduces me to his son. This is Aaron Terosian. Aaron Terosian.
He was the softest talker. And the most
yeah.
difficult to interview, not because he was a mean guy.
No.
He just had a lot to say.
No, but he is the greatest guy, man,
Yeah.
to
He's a
talk
great
to.
guy. Yeah,
Coach
he's a
DiMolante,
great guy.
I busted his chops. I said, Coach, are you coming back? Can you? I don't think, but his son is a big kid, and he said his son's gonna, be, I think, a freshman next year, or he's a freshman this year. I said, Coach, again, are you coming back? Because he had a good run at Arcadia. Yeah. He said maybe if they ask him to help out, but obviously not as a head coach, because the head coach now is Andrew Pollocky. He's doing a great job. They've brought in some assistant coaches that have Cathedral ties. And maybe you don't like this type of way of doing business, fans. I understand that. But Arcadia brought in some serious transfers over the summer, and those guys are paying off right now, and they're having a heck of a year.
I don't know they always brought him in. Maybe they just transferred.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not going to name the coach,
this isn't who's this?
Calabasas, no. But it's a good SGV type Calabasas.
Arcadia is a great academic institution.
Yes,
and people transfer there for the education.
Yes, and its marching band's going to be in the Rose Parade. But anyways, I will tell you, Freddie, that in the offseason, a coach that I won't name, they threw against Arcadia kind of at the beginning of summer, and they threw against them like 6 weeks later. He's a completely different team. All of a sudden, this team had all these athletes all over the field, and he's like, I don't know, like we destroyed them the first time, and then like in June, and then we saw them in July, and they have like 3 guys out there that are next level guys. And it's true. They have some really nice players. Rayshawn Rowland is one of them. Bradley Mills is another. He was our athlete of the week last year. They have Nico Hillier, the quarterback. He was a guy that's always been at Arcadia. He's a really nice quarterback. They got some guys, Arcadia. They're a little shaky along the lines, in my opinion, but they got a good coaching staff now, and they're rolling, and that's great to see. Another big score from that area tonight. The Rio Hondo League opened up tonight. San Marino won big. I tweeted to Carson Glazier, the record-setting or soon-to-be record-setting quarterback. I tweeted to him, I think, this afternoon or yesterday, and I said, please take it easy on my Rams. And the score I see at halftime is 49-0. So clearly, Carson Glazier doesn't listen.
Getting ready for Monrovia.
Or he just doesn't care. Yeah, and that Monrovia game now is next week. And boy, oh boy, that is a big one in the Pasadena area. Monrovia rolled tonight as well. But neither one of those games were the biggest game in the Rio Hondo League tonight. There's a 6-0 team in the Rio Hondo League.
Who could that be?
Well, it's San Marino, but there's another 6-0 team in the Rio Hondo League. South Pasadena, Freddie, our boys from last year.
6-0?
Yeah, they're 6-0. They beat La Cañada tonight. Remember, they beat La
them, right?
Yeah, 26-0. Remember, they beat La Cañada last year in Week 10. That was the game.
They're not going to have to forfeit this game.
No.
They ain't getting the bus to go home tonight and say, our kids, this isn't going to count.
Well, they were the home team tonight, I believe. But no. This was the game last year that they won, and that should have punched their ticket to the playoffs, but they got, held back, self-imposed penalty. They stayed home.
What was that penalty for again?
It was for the illegal filming of the practice, supposedly the coach's brother.
And they decided before the game was actually played.
But they didn't tell the players.
Didn't tell the players. To celebrate, they went on the bus.
Yes, and when they got
great
home,
game, guys. Glad you celebrated, but it didn't count.
It's not only that they won the game, Freddie, to clinch third place in the league. They had punched their ticket to the playoffs, and so these kids,
maybe they carried that inside them, and that's why they're 6-0 today.
Yes, well, these kids, they get all the way home, and they think they're going to the playoffs, and that's an exciting thing. And you're not going to the playoffs, and the team you just beat is, and that
game tonight punched their ticket to the playoffs.
It probably did. It probably did. Yeah. Even if they lose to Monrovia and San Marino.
I mean, the last couple of years, that game has decided the third spot.
Right. Assuming they beat TC.
But I'm wondering if they can give Monrovia or San Marino a scare, and we'll find out.
Monrovia more than San Marino. That game next week might be a game that I join you just to go watch.
You should, man. Mike the cousin already told me tonight he's going.
Monrovia, San Marino. My wife's calling right now. Yeah. So she doesn't know that we're still doing it.
Yeah, she's probably 11:40 is a little late for us, but
is it?
It's at San Marino.
Okay.
Yeah. You ought to go a little Tony's Pizza before the game, please. Thank you.
That might be a great one. And there's a game on Thursday. We have some great games in leagues that I've been wanting to see. Like that's one on Thursday night. San Dimas and Northview. They both have blowout wins tonight. Yeah. That's a really big game. I want to know if San Dimas can really do it because I've been touting up Northview a lot because I think they're the real deal in that division. But San Dimas is one of those weird teams. Over the years, when I picked them to lose games, it's like they come out of nowhere. They win those games sometimes that you don't expect them to win, and they've lost games that you'd expect them to win.
Right.
They're a hard team to predict, and that's next Thursday night, Steve. That's one of your favorite games to cover, too.
San Dimas rolled tonight over Wilson. Covina rolled tonight over Nogales, and Northview rolled tonight.
These are the games. Perfect setup for that league. That those top three teams. Get their easy wins out of the way, and it's going to get interesting now.
Right.
Because Covina's a team also that I think can upset the apple cart in the league. There's 3 teams that can win that league title.
Fair enough. Moving on, Montview League. Freddie has called Baldwin Park the slam dunk league winner in the area.
Absolutely.
Like this team, of any team in any league, this is the biggest slam dunk league
champ. This is
champ.
another team that I disrespected earlier in the year with fans because.
Well, I tell you what, man.
I said I was shocked that they lost to Covina. And based up to that point, I think everyone would have been shocked.
No, they beat Covina.
Yeah, that's
Baldwin Park beat Covina.
I wrote that I was shocked that they beat Covina.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
I got 2 words for you, buddy.
Bishop Amat,
2 words for you.
People.
James Higgins. Remember, he's forced into this job because they can't find a football coach. He's the former coach. Higgins has got him what now? 5-1.
No, they've lost. I think 2 games. They'd lost 2 games and they beat Covina.
So what are they? 4-2?
Something like that. We'd have to look at the standings.
Okay, and they whipped rival Sierra Vista tonight. That's that huge game in the Baldwin Park area.
That league, the reason I call it that league is really down this year with Azusa down, and they're going to roll through that league.
But how about that though, man? I mean, that's great for Baldwin Park. And James Higgins, man, don't ever doubt this guy. He's a heck of a coach. We wish we could keep him as a high school guy. You know, the reason he left last time is the school just wouldn't give him the support with bringing on staff to help him out. Like, they had Jim Arianes almost hired as the offensive coordinator. They couldn't find the guy a job, a day job. Now he's, principal or something at Marshall? So, good for James Higgins, man. It's not an easy situation there. There was all the talk that Cal-bound offensive lineman Paco Perez was leaving, going to transfer, that, he had kind of looked for some spots to go to this offseason. He stuck around, and they're winning. And like Fred said, they're looking like a great bet to win that league. And boy, oh boy, I guess they're 3-3. I for some reason I thought they had a
they lost their first 3 games and then beat Covina. That's why I thought that was a shocker because Covina had been pretty good.
Look at the teams they played though: Los Altos, Chino, and Northview.
I pointed that out. I gotta look back. I said they played a pretty tough schedule.
14-4. Those teams, yeah.
So Baldwin Park and Paco Perez sends me direct messages after every game, just reminding me that
good dude, man.
He's done that. He
big time player.
I just got a Charter Oak fan watching the show right now, saying it's time for us to switch the Charter Oak and Bishop Amat on the set.
Yeah.
He said, "Would you do it for us now tonight?"
Freddie is already.
I think we better switch it. This might upset some Bishop Amat fans. I don't know.
They're already upset.
Kick them to the side, but
they're already upset.
You got to reward the teams that get the job done, and tonight Charter got the job done.
Yeah, and Freddie's got the weekend to think about whether he's moving them to number 1 in the Tribune rankings.
Was this helmet from tonight? It's kind of banged up.
Well, all right. Now you're going to get it.
However, they may want it back now.
Who knew? Of the 3 of us, Aram's become the popular guy with Amat.
I'm just saying, it's got
that'll last about another 48 hours.
It's got some Sarah Blue marks on it.
I say something else. Yeah. No, I hear you. Anyways, I don't know if I'm missing anything else to talk about, or if you want to get into biggest surprise, biggest disappointments now. What do you think?
Start with Stevie.
By the way, tell me who won the big Montebello-Sure rivalry game. Did Montebello take care of that?
Yeah, it was 43-10 Montebello.
Oh, we should mention Mission Valley League. Roy Barajas, the El Monte kid. El Monte's been kind of disappointing in the win-loss column, but man, Barajas went off tonight. Did you see? I believe Keith Lair texted you. It's right here. 412 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. Joel Sanchez did not let off the gas pedal tonight. They beat Gabrielino 74-12. So El Monte takes out some frustrations tonight, and Roy Barajas goes off.
400. Is that an athlete of the week? Maybe a SoCal.
He's been the athlete of the week before. So you try and like Toriano Sweet. We feel like we can honestly name him the athlete of the week every week. Roy Barajas, same thing. But you want to kind of work in some other guys. But boy, yeah, he went off. Like Stevie was saying, Montebello.
412 yards and 6 touchdowns is 412 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, I know it. Montebello, they beat Sure tonight. What is that, Stevie? 43.
10.
43-10. Okay.
Yeah, so
Don't know the status of Isaac Mendable's.
Yeah.
Any Del Rio scores that we should get to?
the one that
Our boys at Pioneer, did they survive Cal?
no, they lost.
Reality.
They lost 27-0. Both.
Oh, 27-0.
Yeah. So both
Pioneer to dream.
Yeah. So both Whittier and Pioneer, who were kind of pumping up because
Yeah.
they had played very well in non-league against, let's face it, less than average teams.
But so what? I mean, they shouldn't play the juggernaut.
In their Del Rio League openers combined, they got outscored 69-0.
Yeah.
Wow, that's scary. And I think El Rancho won tonight.
No, Santa Fe.
Oh my goodness.
Beat El Rancho 34-15, and that brings me into my biggest. El Rancho is my biggest disappointment. Just for the. I thought they played a tough schedule.
They did. They played some good teams.
So them being 0-5 in non-league, I kind of.
Stevie's been on a roll the last few weeks.
But I kind of said, okay, you guys have played a tough schedule, but I still thought they could at least compete for the league title or at least the second place. And Santa Fe beat him 34-15 tonight. So and Santa Fe, they kind of played a little bit of a tough schedule, and I wasn't sure. Couldn't get a barometer on them, but that's a big win for them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my biggest disappointment with El Rancho.
What's your biggest surprise?
The Arcadia Muir score. I was thinking it was going to be like a 45-44 game.
Right.
Last team with the ball wins the game, and that may have happened. We have no details on this, but the fact that it was 8-7, I'm just totally shocked with that score.
Right.
I guess my biggest surprise is the Diamond Ranch comeback, because I'm getting these texts all night where it's 21-7 or 22-7, 29-14, it's 36-29, it's 43-28, West Covina late, and then all of a sudden, a couple of texts here, boom, they've lost 50-43.
I know.
Where the heck did that come from? So that's my biggest surprise, and congratulations to Diamond Ranch, and you want to let me hear it, let me hear it. I mean, you deserve that tonight. I did pick them to lose. I did think they would lose pretty handily.
Biggest disappointment?
Biggest disappointment, Bishop Amat football fans on Twitter tonight. You can't take a loss and put things in perspective, and you're being silly tonight. You really are being silly.
They have a tendency to be like that sometimes. When you kind of
T-Bone said they're the diva fan base, man.
I can remember a certain column I wrote in 2000, which upset them, and I remember covering when they played up there at De La Salle.
And that was before Twitter, before social media or anything. You know what Stevie did? You know what he did?
I remember it. Yeah.
He wrote a story that in this particular year, that Los Altos should have been the team going to play De La Salle than Bishop Amat, which he was probably absolutely right about.
It was,
and a certain coach at the time who was coaching Bishop Amat, he didn't want to talk to Stevie.
No. It's not that he didn't want to talk to him. He said you're not allowed on their sideline.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was actually 2 years later when he said that.
2 years later.
2 years later, he says you're not on their sideline.
What's so sensitive about it?
What happened? It was
still sensitive.
I think it was.
They told me tonight I'm not allowed on their sideline.
I think it was 2002. Damien beat them. Ian Johnson, who later starred at Boise State, he had a couple touchdowns. So I talked to him after the game, and he said something like they're supposed to be the big Catholic school in the area, and we showed who's who, like a kid would do.
Right.
And I guess he got upset at those comments, and we had already had one of our other reporters go out to do a feature on one of their kids, and that's when he relayed the message back to me that I wasn't allowed on their sideline.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and that.
You can't have opinions. You can't. That's back in the day before social media.
Yeah.
That's a straight newspaper column.
Look.
Making a good argument.
It happened again tonight before CIF set Amat straight on, telling reporters they can't stand on their sideline. But anyway,
I mean, not to get into that.
We won't go into that.
We don't live in China. I mean, we don't. This is the United States.
I think North Korea has been the analogy I've been using. Boy, when good old Kim Jong-un is gone, Freddie, people are really gonna celebrate. Just keep that in mind.
You don't want to celebrate censorship.
No.
On the sidelines at schools are people who get upset.
You're right. So I will barely switch topics here by saying my biggest surprise tonight is Fred's biggest disappointment, which is the Bishop Amat fans. I don't understand how they're landing on this guy after the loss. Like, I don't get it. All he said was like, hey, these are like must wins coming up for this team, and now they're landing all over him. I don't understand it. That's surprising to me, the way that fan base kind of, well, some of them. I mean, whatever. Kind of turned on Freddie tonight, and my biggest disappointment is not to beat a dead horse here, about Temple City football, which used to be one of the biggest powers in the area, but it's very difficult as a Temple City alum to see Arcadia kind of, revitalize and see San Marino do the same thing. And yet Temple City, you can say, demographic changes have killed us and our football program, but San Marino has the same issue. Arcadia has the same issue, and
South Pass to a large extent.
South Pass maybe even the same thing, and yet it's not. San Marino's, one of the top teams in the Pasadena area. They're probably going to be number one in next week's rankings. Arcadia is they floundered a little bit, a couple of years ago, but a few years before that they had good teams.
But you said it yourself. This isn't about demographics at Arcadia. It's about getting a couple key transfers.
So Temple City should be able to do that too.
They should.
Well, this is a proud program that won 7 CIF titles in the 70s and was the toast of the town. And for it to for things that have kind of happened with coaches that have been there, the way things ended with Mooney and
then been the same since Mooney left.
With Randy Backus, I really think things would have kept going with Backus if that whole fiasco didn't happen with them letting him go, or maybe he resigned. There's just eventually Temple City needs to get the blueprint from Arcadia or San Marino and start doing that and get that program back on track, because there's no way they should be down 49-0 to San Marino at halftime. And I don't even know what the final was. I'm scared to see it. What was the final? Make me sick.
56-6.
Okay, so Coach Hobby let off the gas there.
But
there you have it.
That's a good point you make.
Yeah, he did, clearly. They're up 49. He only scored one more touchdown.
No, that's a big point, because I remember Roland in the 80s was a pretty good team.
But not Temple City, Stevie.
No, but
not to that level.
No, but they fell off. They fell off bad, I would say, in the late 90s. And then when Coach Snyder came, he built them back up.
Roland doesn't have the history that TC does.
No, but and it can be done. And
I'm just saying.
The point is, it can be done if it's built back there. Look at what Coach Hobby's done at San Marino. I mean, there's a perfect example of a guy.
Outstanding.
He's a great football coach.
Where he took that team to what he's done, each year, making them better to where they're at right now.
Coach
That's
Hobby,
a coach of the year to this point in the Springs area. There's no doubt.
Or the Arcadia guy. Coach Hobby, not an Aram fan, but even I can admit that he has done an unbelievable job. No, he really has. I mean, he's really done a great job building that program. Back up and man, they don't do it how Bill Maloney did it. They used to play serious defense with Maloney and all that.
There's another guy that I loved.
He was great.
He wore those old golf polyester pants.
Yeah, right.
He pulled them up to his belly button with that tie. He was Mr. 70s, man.
Yeah.
He had the Elvis hair with the sideburns. And he was intense.
I was
very intense.
I was the ball boy for San Marino's 1988 CIF championship team. 1988, believe it or not.
How would he have dealt with social media today, Coach Maloney?
He wouldn't have. But Coach Maloney,
that would have been tough.
I left a tee on the field. I left a tee on the field after a kickoff. I was supposed to run out there and get it. But I ended up watching the play. And boy, man, he lit into me something awful. I wasn't even a player. I was just a ball boy. The eyebrows were like up here on his head. I felt like crying on the side.
I'd seen him a few times. When he'd get mad at me, he would get so mad.
Yeah, he would get really. But you know what? And then you would interview him after the game, thinking you'd put your arm around. Hey, Freddie, how are you? Coach Maloney, man, absolute throwback.
Awesome.
We talk about Coach Reich at Charter Oak and Gary Pressasator. Maloney, same type guy, Marine Corps type guy, just great guy. And he's retired now, living. God, I want to say Wyoming or Idaho or North Dakota or one of those Rocky Mountain states. Yeah.
Okay.
Coach Maloney, great guy. Coach Hobby doing it a different way, but San Marino's back doing it right. Anyways, we're going to get out of here. Rough night for some teams in the area. Rough night for Dodger fans.
Score some runs, Dodgers.
We'll see what rough night for last couple of days for SC fans. We'll see what happens with UCLA.
I was just shocked at that score last night.
Who does UCLA have tomorrow? They have a bye.
They're a bye. They got
Okay.
Stanford.
At least they can't break anyone's heart.
They have back-to-back Thursday games.
On that note, I urge all of you to watch Big Ten football tomorrow. Again, remember, Big Ten football, 1st to 10 wins.
Jesus.
Huh?
First to 10.
Ohio State, they're just hanging on there.
You want to take us out for it? Ohio State. Yeah, I look at they're my team, but I admit the Buckeyes shouldn't be number 1 right now.
Any last thoughts, Aaron?
I don't know. Watch Big Ten football.
We'll see ya.